Out of all the what-ifs in the world of Avatar, there's one that changes everything. So today, thanks to your votes, we're answering this one simple question. What if Iroh was the Firelord? Before we dive in, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss a video. Now, it's hard to imagine Iroh, Zuko's wise, tea-loving, peaceful uncle, as this guy. But as the firstborn son of Azulon, Iroh was the next in line to become the Firelord, until it all fell apart at Ba Sing Se.
Iroh has lost his son. Lu Ten did not survive the battle.
After Lu Ten's death, Ozai's scheming cut Iroh out of the line of succession. But if Lu Ten had survived, it's safe to assume Iroh would have become the Firelord. Now, if Iroh doesn't leave the front the day his army breaches the outer wall, it seems like his forces would have taken all of the Earth Kingdom capital. After all, he was on the verge of victory when his son died.
Ba Sing Se must be something to behold. I hope you all may see it someday, if we don't burn it to the ground first.
Iroh has admitted that war and destruction were a part of the family business, and he really wanted to succeed in the eyes of his father. Plus, he believed that conquest was his destiny.
When I was a boy, I had a vision that I would one day take Ba Sing Se.
So winning this battle with his son at his side would fulfill this destiny and make Iroh even more confident in the Fire Nation's mission to take over the world. With the Earth Kingdom capital conquered, Iroh would probably leave his son Lu Ten in charge of Ba Sing Se before returning to the Fire Nation. And he would receive a hero's welcome. If Iroh is the firstborn, the Dragon of the West, the hero of the Fire Nation, the conqueror of Ba Sing Se, and the father of a living heir to the throne, Ozai would have no way to argue that he should be crowned Firelord, not Iroh.
My brother abandoned the siege at Ba Sing Se, but I am here, Father, and my children are alive. Revoke Iroh's birthright.
Then Azulon would have no reason to tell Ozai to kill Zuko.
Grandfather said Dad's punishment should fit his crime. You must know the pain of losing a firstborn son by sacrificing your own.
And Ursa and Ozai would have no reason to poison Firelord Azulon.
Your mother did vicious treasonous things that night.
So Azulon would live out his reign and conquer the rest of the Earth Kingdom with General Iroh's help. While it's possible that Azulon could survive until Aang unfreezes, let's be real, he's looking a little past his prime here.
Firelord Azulon. Can't you just call him Grandfather? He's not exactly the powerful Firelord he used to be. Someone will probably end up taking his place soon.
So Iroh wouldn't have long to wait before being crowned the next Firelord. In a world where the Earth Kingdom is under his control, the air nomads are believed to be completely wiped out, and the water tribes are the only resistance, what would Firelord Iroh do with his power? Well, Iroh himself said that back then, the mantle of the Firelord was in his blood, which boiled with desire for conquest. That doesn't sound like the Uncle Iroh we know. And even after the war, he wrote in a letter to Zuko, "Even now, I can picture the path not taken. Iroh the Firelord, scourge of the Fire Nation. How the world would fear me." That's pretty intense. He also said it was losing Lu Ten that changed the course of his entire life. He gave up his desire for power and even went into the spirit world to search for his son. So in a timeline where Lu Ten survived and Iroh never went to the spirit world, he would definitely become a tyrannical Firelord, just like Ozai, right? And he would continue the war and wipe out the water tribes, and the world would fear him, and he'd never stop until he conquered the 4 nations, right? Maybe, or maybe not, because even back then, there was more to Iroh than just a desire for conquest. At this point, Firelord Iroh would have 2 sides at war inside him. On one hand, he would want to make his father proud by leading the Fire Nation to conquer the world. Just call it taking over the family business. On the other hand, Iroh's experiences as a young man traveling the world had already taught him about balance and peace. He had already joined the Order of the White Lotus at this point and lied to protect the last dragons. Hang on. An inner conflict between seeking the destiny the Fatherlord sets out for you.
You mean the Firelord?
Or finding balance and peace while traveling the four nations and meeting Rand and Shaw? Now who does that remind you of?
Hello, Zuko here.
I'm just saying, the parallels are uncanny. Anyways, in this timeline, the world would settle into an uneasy, conquered peace under Fire Nation rule, until the return of the Avatar. Now, Firelord Iroh wouldn't think the Avatar is coming back anytime soon.
Even if you're right, and the Avatar is alive, you won't find him. Your father, grandfather, and great-grandfather all tried and failed.
And in this timeline, Ozai is never running a War Council meeting because Ozai never becomes Firelord. Little 13-year-old Zuko might be invited to these war meetings, but he'd never end up fighting his uncle in an Agni Kai. So Zuko would never be banished and sent to hunt for the Avatar. With nobody trying to hunt him down, Aang would be able to thaw out in peace. Now, because all the waterbenders were taken from the Southern Water Tribe before Iroh's reign, Katara would still need to go with Aang to find a waterbending master at the North Pole.
Katara, we're gonna find you a master.
But without Zuko tracking them, Aang, Katara, and Sokka would be able to travel without getting the Fire Nation's attention.
My name is... Check this out. I'm the Avatar.
Scratch that. Firelord Iroh would definitely hear about the return of the Avatar, whether from his fellow White Lotus members or from the Fire Sages.
We are the Fire Sages, guardians of the Temple of the Avatar.
Great! I am the Avatar.
We know.
Even in this timeline where he conquered the Earth Kingdom and became Firelord, Iroh would still have a lot of respect for the Avatar.
It is the combination of the four elements in one person that makes the Avatar so powerful.
So at some point during the journey to the North Pole, Aang would probably receive an invitation to tea with Firelord Iroh.
Sharing tea with a fascinating stranger is one of life's true delights.
And the Avatar's big confrontation with the Firelord would be less like this.
I have all the power in the world!
And more like this.
Why don't you enjoy a cup of calming jasmine tea?
Their discussion would probably be a lot like what happens in The Promise, but with Firelord Iroh instead of Firelord Zuko. Iroh would argue that the Fire Nation should keep control of the lands it conquered in the Earth Kingdom, while Aang would want to restore balance among all four nations. And there's no telling how that one would turn out.
So,
maybe Firelord Iroh would use his strategic genius to out-argue Aang. Maybe Aang would go all Avatar state on him. Or maybe Iroh's respect for balance among the four nations would lead him to agree with Aang and end the Fire Nation's 100-year quest to rule the world. Permanently.
Understanding others, the other elements, and the other nations will help you become whole.
But that's assuming Iroh becomes the Firelord because Lu Ten survives. What if there was another way for Iroh to become the Firelord? Say Lu Ten doesn't survive the siege. Everything could play out the way it does in the show. But Iroh's destiny doesn't just depend on Lu Ten's death, it also depends on Azulon's. So what if Lu Ten didn't survive, but Azulon did? In his letters to Zuko in the Legacy of the Fire Nation, Iroh writes that his spirit wouldn't allow him to become the Firelord after the loss of both his son and his father. So say that when he hears about Lu Ten's death, Ozai still asks to take Iroh's place as the heir to the throne. Azulon would refuse, as we know, and he would tell Ozai to kill Zuko. Ozai would try to poison Azulon, but it's possible that as a firebender, Azulon's inner fire could weaken the effect of Ursa's poison, keeping him alive. Then what? Well, Ozai would probably have to take Zuko's life, just like Azulon ordered. Maybe Zuko could catch up with his mother and go into hiding, but either way, Zuko would be gone. Then, Azulon would want to punish Ozai for trying to poison him. He might put him in prison, or he might banish Ozai and tell him he can only return to the Fire Nation and win back his honor if he captures the Avatar. Oh man, can you imagine? Ozai out on a boat, freezing his beard off, looking for a 112-year-old kid in an ice cube. I'd love to see that. Azulon, meanwhile, would call his only loyal heir back to the Fire Nation, so Iroh probably wouldn't have the chance to enter the spirit world and grieve for his son, the way he does in the timeline we know. This Firelord Iroh, who lost his son but stayed by Azulon's side, might seek revenge for Lu Ten's death at Ba Sing Se. How? Well, he might use Sozin's comet to burn down the entire Earth Kingdom. And as for the Avatar, with Ozai on his trail in a world mostly conquered by the Fire Nation,
Run!
and without Iroh's help in Ba Sing Se, or Zuko's firebending lessons, or the Blue Spirit's help, or Appa's escape from Lake Laogai, he might not be able to stop Firelord Iroh, the Dragon of the West, from seeking revenge on the Earth Kingdom. Wow, Firelord Iroh in this timeline is terrifying. Good thing the real Iroh is, well, Iroh.
Now let's make these people some tea.
Yes, let's make some tea.
Yeah, it's really hard to imagine Iroh burning down the Earth Kingdom, especially because we actually do find out what would happen if Uncle Iroh was the Firelord. Zuko names him Interim Firelord while he leaves to search for his mom. And the first thing Uncle Iroh does with his Firelord power is declare a National Tea Appreciation Day. Best Interim Firelord ever! Looking at these alternate timelines, two things are clear. One, losing his father, his son, and his throne might actually have been the best thing for Iroh and the world.
Someone new must take the throne. An idealist with a pure heart and unquestionable honor.
And two, if he did take the throne, Firelord Iroh would have to face a conflict within himself. Follow the path his father set out for him, or find his own destiny.
It's time for you to look inward and begin asking yourself the big questions. Who are you? And what do you want?
Ever wonder what Avatar would be like if Aang never ran away? Or if Ursa didn't disappear? Or if there was no cabbage merchant?
Oh, my cabbages!
What if questions should we explore next? Tell us in the comments, vote in the community tab, and be sure to like and subscribe for more alternate timelines in the world of Avatar.